Hello, hi, I am live. I think I'm live. We red lights in live. So can you, if you are catching me live, give me a wee hashtag live in the comments below. Or if you're getting me on replay, give me a hashtag replay in the comments below. So tonight we are talking about creating a calorie deficit, and we are talking about some noise that happens quite a lot in social media from Fit Bros that causes a shed ton of confusion and rage and disappointment. Maybe. I get raged. I don't know if anybody else does, but we're going to put some myths to bed. So I'm referring to a document, which I've put the link in the description of this video. And yeah, let's begin, shall we, ladies? So I hope if this is anybody's first time with one of these Friday night lives, please just give me a little hello. I welcome you to the gang. You will find that I might stop halfway through to fix some random grey hair, like this one. And I think we're in a safe environment here. Grey eyebrow hair. What the heck? I mean, really? Is this a thing? Like, who? Grey eyebrow hair. Two of them. This side. Take them out now. Can't see them. Raging. Actually raging. Anyway, enough of me. So, creating a calorie deficit and cutting out the noise. So, if you open the document, this entire topic was, I was inspired by other people in the same space. Now, the people that I'm referring to are not in the over 40s fat loss space. They are in general population. And I've put a wee post that I saw, and I've seen several of them, like saying, don't eat 1,200 calories. What are you? You're not a toddler. A toddler needs 1,200 calories. Yada, 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 yada. And it's really quite a negative thing to post, and it really isn't telling the full story, and it can be really confusing for a lot of people. So this is what we're covering off today. So one of the big comments you hear is 1,200 calories. A toddler needs 1,200 calories. Yes, a toddler probably does need 1,200 calories. And do you know why they need 1,200 calories? Because they are little and they're growing at a rate of knots, and their brain is expanding at a rate of knots. They need to fuel themselves. Well, we need to fuel them as parents. There is so much learning, there is so much activity that goes on with a toddler or with any small child that they need fuel. Now, comparing a toddler with a 45, 50-year-old woman is really good for social media, isn't it? It's like, oh my God, a toddler needs that? Well, I definitely need more than that. But if you think about where we are in our 40s from a developmental phase in our lives, our brain isn't growing that much. I mean, at times, I barely can remember something that I need to remember and then worry that my brain is still full of so much nonsense that I have learned in younger years. I mean, as an example, Madonna. A Madonna song came on the radio in the car. I remembered all the words to all the song. It was from the True Blue album. I don't need to know that. I need to know stuff about psychology. I need to know stuff about nutrition. I need to know stuff about exercise. Like, now my brain is all taken up by stuff that I learned donkeys ago. Anyway, so my brain is not developing at a rate of knots. You know, my bones are fully grown. My muscles are hopefully still going to grow with the amount of lifting that I'm doing, but I'm not having any more growth spurts. I'm not going through puberty, etc., etc. So I don't need all of those calories that a toddler does need for them to thrive and grow and develop. Okay, so when you next see a post about 1,200 calories too low, it might well be for a specific individual, but it might actually be right for some individuals. It might actually be right. So when we are talking about the right calorie number for people, there's different terminologies that we're using. So and I'm going to go through quite a lot of them. Well, not quite a lot. I'm going to go through a couple that are relevant. We need to consider the person that we are talking about. So we need to consider their age. We need to consider their height. We need to consider the weight that they are just now. We need to consider the activity levels that they have. We also need to consider, if we're going a little bit more specific, their body fat percentage, which is the only way of getting a very accurate body fat percentage is via a DEXA scan, which in the UK you can only get through your doctor. It's not even at the doctor's, you need to go to the hospital to get that. So it's not an accurate body fat percentage, isn't easy to get, but you can visualize, you can tell from your aesthetic what your body fat percentage roughly is within maybe 5-10%. So these are all things that we need to consider when we're talking about what is somebody's right calorie number. So a calorie, for those of you that don't know, is a unit of energy. All foods, apart from water, have calories. And it's just think about you as your bank balance. When calories come in, that's money coming in, and when calories going out, that's money going out. Okay, it's the currency of your body. And if you have the right amount of energy coming in and the right amount of energy going out, you'll be in a homeostasis place, which just means steady, staying where you are, maintenance. If you have too much energy coming in, you're going to be in a calorie surplus. So your bank balance would be in surplus. And if you don't have enough calories coming in, you're going to be in a calorie deficit, money deficit. Okay. When we are in that deficit place, there's all these things that go in our body that means we burn body fat. Okay. We start using fat as energy because we're not getting enough from what we're consuming. Okay. As we age, our metabolism slows down, and I've talked about this in several videos. So from late 30s onwards, our metabolism goes and it kind of goes down, and then it levels off kind of in our late 50s. As our metabolism is how quickly we use that energy that's coming in, how much of it we use, how quickly it's used. And as it's slowing down, we don't need as much of it coming in because we're not spending as much. So our energy requirements are much, much lower. And I'm going to give you some actual real life examples just of me from the last few years. So if we have too much energy coming in, it's going to get stored as fat. If we don't have enough, it's going to use fat. Okay. And it's fat that we want to get rid of. So fat takes up the most space in your body. So that's why the scales isn't always an accurate measure, because if you are combining weight training with eating in a calorie deficit, the weight loss on the scales might not be huge, but the measurement change can be huge and the visual change can be huge because your muscles are growing, but the fat takes up much more space in your body. See? So what I want you to do, if you can, I'm going to take you through a little exercise about calculating your own calorie number. And I want you to grab a pen and a bit of paper. So you're going to need to get for me your weight in kilos. So if you, if you know what it is in pounds, you just divide it by 2.2. Or you can just go into Google and type whatever weight you are in kilos. And I need your height in centimetres. And your age, which hopefully you won't need to go and find. And if you do need to find it somewhere, then we have more issues. All right, so I'll give you a second to go and get that stuff. So we also need to look at what our activity levels are. And this is probably where we get the biggest error, if you like. This is probably where the biggest gap is. So activity levels, sedentary, little or no exercise, less than 10,000 steps a day, typically a desk job. So somebody that's at a desk all day, doesn't really do any exercise, maybe does one Zumba class or something a week, but is not active throughout the course of the day. That's 1.2. You're going to need this number. Somebody that is lightly active, so their heart rate's increased a little bit 1 to 3 times a week, maybe doing 10,000 steps a day, maybe a little bit of exercise, that's 1.375. Somebody that's moderately active, so heart rate up, 10,000 steps a day, working out to intensity, so it's hard, can't complete full rep ranges, that's 1.5. Very active is somebody that's doing 1, maybe 2 workouts a day, that has a very active job on their feet, maybe a nurse, postie, that kind of thing, but is also working out to 2 times a day, or working out 5 to 6 times a week, 1.725. And the extremely active, which is very, very rare unless you are actually a professional athlete and training for multiple hours a day and is active and getting a lot of steps, that would be 1.9. Okay, now here's the thing. Everybody has an ego. Everybody has an ego. And if you're like, yeah, I'm very active, very, very active, you know, chances are you're probably not. Okay, so be very realistic. So I'll give you an example about me. So I walk 10,000 steps every day, non-negotiable, every single day. I work out 5 times a week, but I only put myself as moderately active because of those 5 workouts, 3 is a heavy weightlifting session, 1 is a lower intensity, steady state on the bike or the rower. Maybe I'll go a jog, walk, and 1 is just a really quick and dirty, high intensity 20 minutes, right? So when you look at that, you would go, oh, you're very active, but actually for what we're doing here, it's only moderately active. Okay, so be very, very realistic about what you're doing. So when you've got all those numbers together, I want you to do a calculation for me. Okay, so what we're calculating here is your basal metabolic rate, BMR. So 655 plus the answer of your weight in kilos multiplied by 9.6. So if you do the 9.6 times your weight in kilos first to get an answer, then you want to have a calculation of your height in centimetres multiplied by 1.8. And you also want to have a calculation of 4.7 multiplied by your age. Okay, so that gives you should have 3 numbers then. So your calculation is on the document, 655 plus the number of your weight plus height, then take away the age calculation. So for me, I did mine earlier. So for me, the number is 600. I'm going to type this into the document so you might see it. Hold on. 600 plus 672 plus 297, take away 197. That gives me a calculation of 1372. So for me to survive but do nothing, so your basal metabolic rate is what is the energy you need to survive, stay alive, but not move. So just lying down, literally not moving. My number is 1372 calories, okay? But none of us are just sitting down or lying down prone and not doing anything, not talking, not eating. We're all doing things. So we need to include our activity levels. So if you multiply your number, so for me it's 1372. For those of you that are clients and just starting, I don't need you to do this. We have a slightly more in-depth way of doing this with you. So Janie, I think you're at this point, I can see you, your wee face there. Anyway, so my basal metabolic rate is, I need 1372 calories. When I multiply that by my activity levels, that gives me a number of 2058. So for me to remain at 70 kilos and not lose weight, not gain weight, I need approximately 2000 calories a day. Okay, 2000, approximately, based on my age and my height and whatnot. Now, I don't want to maintain, so I'm doing a little bit of a calorie deficit just now. So to get what we would recommend for us, if we don't know you, right? Okay, if we knew you and we were clients, then we would do something slightly differently. But what we would recommend is that you would take that number, your maintenance number, and if you're trying to lose body fat, you want to reduce that number by 10%. Okay, so 10% of my 2000 would take me to roughly about 1800 calories a day to start losing body fat. So what we would recommend that you do is that you would try that number for 1 week. And if there is change in the scales at the end of the week, half a pound, happy days, just keep doing that. If there's no change, then what we would recommend is you reduce 15% from that 2000 number. Try that for a week. If there's no change, you want to increase it to 20%. Okay? So the thing is, there's a lot of variations here. There's a lot of reliance on accuracy. So when you're tracking your food, nobody tracks their food accurately. They just don't. Nobody does. It's fact. And I think I've said it before that studies done on nutritionists, they were 20% out in their own tracking. And this is people that know shit about nutrition and tracking. So they were even out. So if you think about, how easy it is to just put something as 100 grams, if you're using MyFitnessPal, or you're having a toast crust from the kids' plates, all of these things add up. So we're not 100% at tracking, and we're not 100% accuracy of our activities either, because week to week people change. There might be a day next week that my workouts aren't as intense, or I don't go as far on the bike, or whatnot. So there's always going to be variations. So you need to test it and learn. So going back to the 1200 calories, if you're, like, I'm 5'5" and I'm 70 kilos, but say you're 5 foot and you're 55 and you don't move an awful lot, 1200 calories is a real life scenario. It might even be slightly less than that. So some people, 1200 calories is an absolutely appropriate amount of calories to be consuming. For somebody that is maybe 5'3", maybe 50 something kilos, I can't do the maths exactly in my head, but it doesn't move very much. 1200 calories could be a very real number. So we need to look at this objectively and take the shame out of it, because if somebody is, I'd put on the post in the group yesterday about, 1200 calories. And there was a couple of girls went, oh my God, I'm on 1200 calories. I hope I'm not a toddler. But when people see that without knowing what is behind it, people feel judged. They feel that they're doing wrong. And then they'll start going, oh, well, I'm just going to eat 1800 calories, and then wonder why they've gained 3 pounds in a week. So we need to take the judgment out of it, because I hate this term, as older women, like, I don't mean old as in seniors, but older, we have to make adaptations for our nutrition, because our hormones are changing, our metabolism slowing down. If we don't make those adaptations, we will gain weight. And that's ultimately what happens to quite a high percentage of us. I know myself, like the last couple of years, I have gained weight. And I've changed nothing. My calories have always been fairly consistent until this past year, where I've had to reduce them. My exercising has always been really consistent. The only change for me is my basal metabolic rate, because I'm getting older and I need to adjust because of that. All right. So I know this is not about me, this is about you, but I don't have all of you here to tell me what's going on with you. So that's your calculation. Some of you might already have been tracking your calories fairly consistently at a number and are losing weight. Then happy days, keep it going. The key is sustainability. We want something to be permanent. We want it to be long term. So don't go cutting that number by 20% off the first bat. Have some patience, understand your body, learn the process. It's really, really important. And was that it? I think that was really all I wanted to talk about. So calculating a number. This document's available for you at all times. Calculating a number, talking about toddlers, talking about women. Yeah. So and when you look at this, you're like, oh, that's really easy. And it is quite a simple calculation if you've got a handle of how to do bracket maths. It's not hard. You can do it. There's loads of calculators online, and it's fine. But the hard part is getting it right for you at an individual level. The hard part is going, well, what do I do when I'm at that number or 20% off it and nothing's still happening? you know, and that happens. That happens with every person in the world. It'll happen at some point and you don't know what it is that you're doing wrong, or what it is that you're not doing, or what it is that you need to change. And that's where it becomes challenging, because there is so many intricacies that we need to consider. All right, so I wanted to also let you know of a little update that's been happening. So Clara and I we're not going to do this live, but this week, Clara and I are doing a little bit of a podcasty thing. It's not really a podcast. We don't think it's a podcast. About kids' nutrition, because we're both mums and we're both fairly normal, and we don't necessarily buy into kids only eating pure organic, hand-reared foods either. So we're going to have a bit of a chat about kids' nutrition. The lovely Helen. Hi, Helen was here, but now she's vanished. Helen has been doing a lot of work with her mindset coaching. So she's going to be doing some work with in our members area next week around mindset, which is hugely exciting. And she, for those of you that don't know, Helen's actually an ex-member herself, and she's in the mental health space. So now she's going to be doing some work with us around mindset with our clients, and it's hugely exciting. And there's loads more. And the other thing that's happening in our clients area, we have a stylist coming in. How exciting is that? So, you know, this all came about talking to ladies who lose body fat. You know, one of the goals that I hear a lot about is being able to wear the clothes in the wardrobe, the clothes that no longer fit, and they're just hanging there taunting. But then when we do lose the weight, we pull out the clothes and we realise that they're actually not that fashionable anymore, or they don't look like we want them to look. So we've got a stylist coming in to give us a chat on dressing for our body shapes and reducing size, and doing a little bit of individual consults as well. So we're all hugely excited about that. And a few other things in the pipeline about men's physical health, men losing weight and stuff like that. But we're not going to spend an awful lot of time on that. Alrighty, so any questions, ladies? I've got my I have my computer open. Let's see if I can get into the group and see what questions we have. For those of you that are looking at my routes, I'm sure you're not, but I'm convinced you are, then I am going to, I will let you know I spent £45 today on hair dye. Getting delivered many tubes of the hair dye. Will I give you a rendition? Probably not. Dawn, yes, absolutely true blue album. Every single word, Dawn. Like, seriously, how? Oh, just an amazing album, though, to be fair. So yes, if anybody does have any questions, pop them down below. If you don't, happy days. That's all cool. Cool. I can get to them later if you have any. If you have any people, friends, family that you think would benefit from what we do here, hit the share it far and wide. We are always looking for new success stories. We are always looking to see if we can help people. We love our ladies, and we want to help us. We want to spread the joy. Spread the joy. So if you do know anybody, share. And I think that's everything that I wanted to cover off. So don't be afraid of 1,200 calories. It might be just what you need. Alrighty, peace out. Have an amazing rest of your evening, and I'll speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.